This is a massive one. Why can't the referee just say, let's stop the game and let's go back 30 seconds?
Yeah, I heard quite a few people ask that question. I understand why people would ask that question. And actually, the VAR and the AVAR asked themselves that question too. When the penny dropped as to what had happened, I think 20 seconds had passed. And at that point, they considered whether or not they could intervene to stop the game, but they recognise that the laws of the game as set by FIFA and the International FA Board doesn't allow that. There's obviously a process in place that sits in the laws of the game about how we use VAR to make sure it's delivered consistently throughout every league in the world, and it doesn't allow you to go back in those circumstances, and as such they decided not to intervene. But I understand why that question was asked, and I know that the International FA Board are, in fact, before this situation happened, I knew they were going to do a full review of the laws of the game relating to the use of VAR. It's been in place for 7 years now. When it was written, there'd never been a game utilising VAR anywhere in the world. They put a protocol in place, and it served the game really well. But now we've got lived experience of situations like we saw this week, then, we can feed into that as well. And the IFAB will look at whether or not there's a need to tweak some of it. And I'm sure that they'll be looking at this aspect of how VAR is used as well.
Was the referee aware of all this that was happening around him as the game was going on?
No, it wasn't. I know people talked about, the expression on his face, giving a telltale sign in you, but he didn't know at all till the end of the game. I think it's better if you don't know. You want to stay focused in the moment. You don't want this in your mind when you're trying to make decisions throughout the rest of the game. So I think it's better that he doesn't know, and in this case, he certainly didn't, and nor did any of the other on-field officials.
I thought they played well in the first 20-25 minutes. They controlled the game, as you've seen Arsenal do so many times. They didn't let Manchester United out. All the game was down towards this end. But they weren't inventive enough. They didn't take enough risks. And they allowed Manchester United just to let it swing back. However, at the point where Manchester United just got a little bit of control, Arsenal scored a goal. Arsenal scored a goal at a point where Manchester United just started to play a little bit in that last 5 minutes. I think United had 70-odd% possession. But their reaction to scoring the goal was terrible. And there was a telling moment, I think, when Manchester United got their first real counter-attack, when I think Mbeumo goes through. He's got Gabriel and Saliba coming back at him, and he turns back and he plays it to Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes just snatches at it and pulls it past the near post. And Mikel Arteta, you can see him right down beneath us here, because he's a feature when you're at Arsenal, because he's always so active. He's fuming that they've allowed Manchester United to have a chance, because they've given encouragement. And then there was another chance straight after that, and then the goal came. And it was self-inflicted pain by Arsenal. It really was in that 10-15 minutes before half-time, because United at that point hadn't really got going. They didn't look dangerous. They didn't look like they got the connections going. Bruno Fernandes had given a couple of passes away. But the way in which Arsenal reacted to their own goal going in, I think gave United real encouragement. And from the very first minute of the second half, there were only one team that were actually dominant, and that was Manchester United. They were by far the better team in the second half. Michael Carrick's men went in with positivity. Mikel Arteta came out, I think, and realised that his team had gone under a little bit, and they were nervous in that last 10 minutes of the first half. Where's that nervousness come from when they've scored that goal? Where's that anxiety come from? How has it surfaced in this match? It happened against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, didn't it, here, where they had a warning sign. Liverpool just didn't have quite enough up front, if you remember. Liverpool had lots of players missing in that game and couldn't go and hurt them. But Manchester United, they've got Mbeumo, they've got Ahmad, they've got Bruno Fernandes, they've got Mount, they've got Šeško, they've got Dorgu. They've got players who are really capable of hurting you, and they've been hurt tonight, Arsenal.